This is Philip Dorian at Magic Jesus. Hit the subscribe button as the channel is about to take off. I'm continuing work on the series Peter, Paul, Jupiter, Apollo, showing the Roman influence on Christianity. But I kind of wanted to show where Christ originated, where this idea of Christus the Good came from. And it comes from Tammuz, the famous consort of Inanna in ancient mythology. As Dennis R. MacDonald's excellent work, The Homeric Epics and the Gospel of Mark shows us, the Gemini twins are portrayed as James and John in the Bible, but they are also echoing some very ancient pairings, whether twins or siblings, whatever the case is, that led up to these later myths. The Bible gave us the Gemini as James and John, which I believe is a very late reworking of Tammuz and Inanna. Primordial twins Yemo and Mano's names mean twin and man respectively. Note, Inanna is the moon, which is a parallel name to man or men. The menses are the lunar measures. Note, Inanna is the moon to solar hero Tammuz, and that Inanna wants to let the weaver sing the song in this next writing, and that is a possible reference to weavers of fates. We see the names of the pairs associated with Gemini twins following a phonetic pattern, matching Emesh, summer, and Enten, winter. Emesh and Enten, Shemesh and Inanna, actual mythic divine twins. Gilgamesh and Enkidu. Gilgamesh and Inanna, he builds her sacred bed and throne from the Hulupu tree. Tammuz and Inanna. Tammuz is said to be her brother. God of springtime, verdure in ancient Sumer and Babylonia. He became very popular in Syria and Phoenicia as Adonai, which means my Lord, and in Hellenistic lands as Adonis. In Mesopotamian mythology, he was the brother consort of Ishtar, the goddess of fertility. J.B. Pritchard, in ancient Near Eastern text relating to the Old Testament, is the source for that. According to the myth, Tammuz was killed every year by a wild boar, but was rescued from the netherworld by Ishtar, who brought him back to life and assured a new springtime. The natural cycle was thus symbolized by the myth. In ancient Egypt, a similar myth was told of Isis and Osiris. The fourth month of the year, counting from the vernal equinox, June-July, when vegetation began to wither in the dry heat of summer, was called the month of Tammuz, and that's a Hebrew month also, and was the occasion for a feast reenacting his descent to the nether regions. Note an important fact, that the boar's tusk is the summer solstice, and that Tammuz equates to Adonis. The scar on Odysseus' leg is from a boar's tusk also, but was not fatal. He became a man after that incident, it is said in mythology. The trope of recognizing the hero, which Dennis R. MacDonald does such a great job showing in his The Homeric Epics and the Gospel of Mark, that occurs when Eurycleia sees the scar in Homer's Odyssey. And Tammuz Dumuzi is clearly a Christ, or Christus, the good, like Jesus, as he is called the good young one. One good source on that is Thorkild Jacobsen, the scholar. In the earlier Sumerian culture, Dumuzi Tammuz was the god of sheep, lambs, and sheep's milk, a pastoral deity. In the later Akkadian mythos, he was the god of agriculture. Tammuz was known as the good, young one, and his beauty caught the attention of Inanna, known to the Akkadians as Ishtar, who took him for her consort. Thus, Jesus, the good, Christus. This is the origin of his epithet, in my humble opinion. I'm going to quote a few articles here. Ezekiel, what does it mean to weep for Tammuz? According to J.R. Dummelo, Tammuz was a deity worshipped both in Babylonia and in Phoenicia, the same as the Greek Adonis. He appears to have been a god of the spring, and the myth regarding him told of his early death and of the descent of Ishtar, his bride, who is Inanna, into the underworld in search of him. And Tammuz was depicted as a sheep, like his divine mother, Datu, and also as a bull. Further, later female hero, Eurydice, seems to echo the in Eurycleia myths. Her spouse, Orpheus, goes to the underworld to retrieve her, like Ninshebur does for Inanna. But Eurydice gets trapped at the cave door, only to see the earth close over her, which suggests that she may have been a dawn goddess, in my humble opinion. This is the solar annual mythology, with solar hero Tammuz presumably being born at winter solstice and coming of age at spring to love Inanna, a metaphor for fertilizing the earth. Tammuz symbolizes springtime and the grain standing in the field, which harvest season ends around summer solstice. His being the good, the young one, references the health and fitness of young herd animals, sheep and cattle, good sacrificial animals. Farmer Cain slaying shepherd Abel is a similar image. I'm going to mention just briefly that I believe Abel was actually a form of the god Apollo, Abellio, but I'm not going to try to prove that here. The heroes' bodies also fertilize the earth. Cain is given a scar on his forehead, which symbolizes the opening of the eyes, and which I suggest is a coming-of-age symbol. That symbol is echoed in the Roman Lupercalia, February 15th, where two mock victims get blood applied to their foreheads and wiped away with milk. This Faustus, or festival, features the Luperci, young males in goatskins, who take straps from sacrificed sheepskins and run through Rome, striking young ladies with the straps to make them fertile. That's Tammuz's purpose with the earth. He's simply the celestial version of this. He represents the power for life to reemerge and flourish every springtime. And the grain, of course, is the bread, and they call that the staff of life. But back to the festival. This somewhat bawdy festival lasted centuries beyond the advent of Christianity. It was so popular that even though the church frowned on it, it took them centuries to get rid of it. Okay, so I'm probably going to call this video something like The Origin of Christ. And I think it serves as a good explication of why we're getting these Gemini twins anyway. They're Castor and Pollux, and you will see that those two characters likely form the basis both for Crestus and Paulus and for Crestus and Petrus. We're at youtube.com/@magicjesus. Subscribe. Thank you.